She's quick to lose control and say whatever she wants, which is not like me.
When you think of musicians that rose to the pinnacle of fame despite rejection, abuse, exploitation, discrimination, toxic criticism, gossip, and all forms of hidden wars, one name consistently stands out: Aaliyah. Even in death, her pain remains alive, breathing alongside the legacy she built in her 22-years-old lifespan. Aaliyah started singing as a child, and she released her first song at just 14, stepping into an industry that was already cruel and unforgiving. By the time she was crowned the Princess of R&B, she had endured more than most artists face in a lifetime.
Warring over territories and just power and control, and my character is Trisha Day.
Behind her soft voice, mesmerizing beauty, and graceful stage presence was a young woman constantly fighting battles the public never saw. Abuse and exploitation by people she trusted, and envy from her peers shaped her world. Yet she carried herself with elegance, never letting the storm inside her spill too far into the spotlight. And before her tragic passing in 2001, Aaliyah revealed the 6 musicians she hated the most, giving details of her experience with each of these musicians. You'll definitely have mixed feelings about the number 1 person on her list. Let's start with number 6, Gladys Knight.
So hard, I've been rejected, I lost on Star Search. I went out for a lot of...
After so many auditions where she was rejected, something happened in 1990 that changed everything. Soon after discovering that Aaliyah was great at singing, Knight arranged for 11-year-old Aaliyah to appear alongside her in Las Vegas during a 5-night run. That opportunity was the very moment that brought little Aaliyah to the limelight. For a child still balancing school and her love for music, the invitation sounded like a dream. It was Vegas, the glittering stage where stars were made. Night after night, Aaliyah performed her heart out, her small frame and big voice capturing audiences who couldn't believe such talent could come from someone so young. Indeed, even before the end of the 5-night run, the news of Aaliyah was everywhere. That performance with Knight changed her destiny, positioning her before the people she needed. Everyone knew that, and Knight was given the applause she deserved. However, there was a part most people didn't know. Behind the curtain, as Aaliyah's music career began to thrive, she had to deal with the burden of trying to return the favor Knight offered her at the expense of being exploited. What started as one performance in 1990 slowly grew into a pattern. Every time Knight had an important show lined up, she would call on Aaliyah, not to mentor her, not to showcase her as an artist in her own right, but to stand beside her on stage and perform without pay. The first major stretch came in Detroit that same year, when Knight arranged for Aaliyah to appear alongside her during a string of performances. The shows were sold out, with audiences filling the theater night after night, eager to hear Knight's classics. Aaliyah was asked to sing multiple songs, blending her young voice with the seasoned stars. As the years passed, this behavior didn't stop. Whenever Knight wanted to show off her connection to the next generation of music, she would summon Aaliyah. And because Aaliyah was taught to be respectful, she often complied, even though it weighed on her, even though she admitted that she felt trapped, as though she owed Knight an endless debt for giving her early exposure. By 1994, when Age Ain't Nothing But a Number was released and Aaliyah was already standing as a rising star on her own, Knight still expected her to drop everything and appear alongside her without compensation. Aaliyah shared that during one heated argument, she finally told Knight that things were different now.
Seriously, so it was different back in '94.
All right, we're gonna have a break. We're coming back with more of Selecting Aaliyah.
Moving on to number 5, R. Kelly. Aaliyah's and R. Kelly's relationship is one of the most confusing ones in entertainment history. However, as Aaliyah revealed, despite their beautiful collaborations, R. Kelly abused and took advantage of her in the most damaging way. And not just that, she also pointed out in a 1997 interview that she had nothing to do with R. Kelly anymore, speaking about the negative things that R. Kelly said about her and her family that almost damaged her reputation and career.
Honestly, there were negative things that were said in the past.
That interview became one of the first signs of how deeply she resented him and wanted nothing to do with his name. Their story began when Aaliyah was only a teenager, barely starting her career. At 15, she released her debut album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, written and produced almost entirely by R. Kelly. On the surface, it looked like a dream opportunity for a young girl to work with a top producer. But beneath the surface, it was built on exploitation. That same year, shocking reports surfaced about Aaliyah and R. Kelly secretly marrying. The marriage certificate listed her age as 18, even though she was just 15, and R. Kelly was 27. When the news broke, her parents were devastated and immediately moved to annul the illegal marriage. Aaliyah herself avoided talking about it publicly for years, but those closest to her revealed how much she despised R. Kelly for trapping her in a situation that no child should have faced. Her hatred for him was not only about the abuse, but also about how he spoke against her when she tried to cut ties. In interviews, R. Kelly made dismissive comments about Aaliyah, and even threw subtle insults at her family, portraying her as ungrateful. Aaliyah responded, stating firmly that she wanted no association with him, no collaborations, and no contact of any kind. Those close to her said she was adamant. She felt betrayed by someone she once trusted and exploited by someone who had promised to help her succeed. Decades later, in 2025, during R. Kelly's federal trial in New York, a witness confirmed the exploitation. Testimony revealed that members of Kelly's team arranged the fake marriage to protect him from facing charges over his relationship with Aaliyah. Another witness went further, saying that R. Kelly had sexually abused Aaliyah repeatedly and used the fake marriage and his control over her career as leverage. According to Aaliyah, moving on from R. Kelly at that time wasn't easy. However, she had to do it, as it was what was best for her.
It was hard for us to get through, but we did it, and thanks to the Lord and a lot of my fans who I'd love to thank for support.
Many believe that Aaliyah's hatred for R. Kelly was rooted in the fact that he stole a part of her childhood and left scars that were never fully healed. Number 4. Jay-Z. Aaliyah also carried grudges toward Jay-Z. Though their paths crossed in the late 1990s, what could have been a cordial friendship quickly soured. The tension between them began around 1999, when Jay-Z and Damon Dash, his business partner at Roc-A-Fella Records, were both having feelings for Aaliyah. She was already making waves with her second album, One in a Million, and had the aura of an untouchable star. Considering her close relationship with Jay-Z, a lot of people believed they had something romantic going on. However, on many occasions, Aaliyah made it clear that she wasn't having anything romantic with him.
They assume that, you're dating or you're with that person. Then that's not the case with Jay and I.
But the truth is, Jay-Z pursued her, but Aaliyah chose Dash. That decision didn't sit well with Jay-Z, and according to people close to Aaliyah, she felt that Jay-Z didn't take the rejection lightly. By 2000, whispers in the industry suggested that Jay-Z was spreading subtle digs about her, claiming she had been too influenced by Dash, and even dismissing her talent as being more about image than artistry. Aaliyah reportedly hated this, telling a close friend that she couldn't stand people who pretended to respect her publicly, but threw shade in private. She wanted honesty and loyalty, and she felt Jay-Z gave her neither. The bitterness only grew in 2001. As her relationship with Dash became more serious, Jay-Z reportedly made a few more comments that Aaliyah found insulting. One insider later said she confided, "He acts like he runs everything, but I don't need him. I've made it this far without anyone pulling my strings." Those words showed her growing resentment, not just for Jay-Z's attitude toward her personally, but toward what she saw as his larger ego in the industry. Even after her tragic death in August 2001, the story didn't completely fade. In later interviews, Damon Dash confirmed that Aaliyah was uncomfortable with Jay-Z and felt he was never truly supportive of her career. Even now, when people revisit her story, the tension with Jay-Z lingers. Number 3. Lauryn Hill. When Aaliyah stepped into Hollywood in the late 1990s, her transition from singer to actress was met with both excitement and skepticism. While millions of fans celebrated her role in Romeo Must Die, 2000, not everyone in the industry was supportive. Among those critics was Lauryn Hill, whose words, according to those close to Aaliyah, left scars. Lauryn Hill, already a Grammy-winning star after The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, 1998, was known to be vocal about what she believed authenticity in music should look like. When Aaliyah announced her foray into acting, Insiders said Hill dismissed the move as another example of artists chasing fame instead of craft. Hill went as far as to suggest that Aaliyah lacked the depth needed to balance both singing and acting, pointing to the industry's tendency to manufacture stars. For Aaliyah, this felt personal. She was only 21 when Romeo Must Die hit theaters, and she was pouring her heart into proving herself as more than just a singer with a beautiful voice. She wanted to be seen as a versatile performer who could lead a film while continuing to dominate the charts. Instead of encouragement, hearing that a peer, especially one as respected as Lauryn Hill, was tearing her down, left her angry. In a 2000 interview, when asked directly about Hill, Aaliyah gave a calm but pointed response, stating that she had no personal relationship or encounter with Hill and had no idea why she was bitter about her acting career.
I don't know her personally. No, I met her a few years ago.
It was her way of making it clear that any animosity between them didn't come from her, but from Hill's side. She couldn't understand why another black female artist, who had also battled her share of critics, would join the chorus of negativity instead of extending support. The irony wasn't lost on Aaliyah. Hill herself had dabbled in acting, with notable roles in Sister Act 2, 1993, and other projects before fully committing to her solo music career. Aaliyah felt that Hill was guilty of the very same thing she condemned, balancing two creative lanes, yet chose to criticize her for it. This hypocrisy only deepened Aaliyah's dislike. Tragically, Aaliyah never had the chance to respond fully to Hill's criticisms, or to prove just how far her acting career might have gone. But those who knew her say she carried a quiet resentment toward Hill. Not because of rivalry, but because of what felt like betrayal. At a time when she needed solidarity and encouragement, she felt undermined. Number 2. Brandy. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Brandy was a prominent figure competing against Aaliyah, and that competition was fierce, characterized by gossip about Aaliyah which were sponsored by Brandy. At the time, both women were young R&B stars sitting at the top of their generation. Brandy had her hit records and television fame with Moesha, while Aaliyah was steadily building her career with hits like One in a Million and her budding acting projects. But instead of healthy competition, rumors began to circulate, and Aaliyah quickly found herself on the receiving end of a damaging narrative. One of the most persistent stories being whispered was that Aaliyah was involved in gang activity. The gossip, according to insiders, was fueled by Brandy and her camp. In an industry where image was everything, such talk wasn't harmless. It could sink reputations, sour brand deals, and jeopardize opportunities. For a star like Aaliyah, who had worked hard to project a balance of mystery, elegance, and edge, being tied to gang culture was more than just an annoyance. It was an attack on her career. Aaliyah addressed the rumors herself in interviews. Calm and composed as always, she brushed them off but made her position clear, stating that in every industry, most people have cliques that are like family to them.
Everybody kind of has, in a way, has their own sort of clique. So,
Her words revealed both her frustration and her desire not to let the narrative control her image. Those close to her said she knew where the gossip was coming from: Brandy. The industry often pitted them against each other, fueling unnecessary comparisons. Who had the better voice? Who had the better style? Who was the bigger star? Brandy's role in amplifying these rumors, rather than shutting them down, was what made Aaliyah grow to resent her. By the time of Aaliyah's untimely death in 2001, the feud was never resolved. But those who knew her said she carried that bitterness quietly, not because she wanted to prolong conflict, but because she felt deeply wronged. Brandy's gossip wasn't just petty. It had been an attempt to taint her image at a crucial stage of her career, and for Aaliyah, that was unforgivable. Coming to number 1, we have Michael Jackson. As a child, Aaliyah was Michael Jackson's fangirl, and on many occasions she admitted loving his songs. However, she had a problem with Jackson as an individual. Michael Jackson was one of the greatest entertainers of all time, a man whose voice, dance, and artistry influenced generations, including Aaliyah herself. Yet, despite admiring his music and impact, Aaliyah revealed in a 2001 interview that she harbored a deep resentment toward Jackson for what she believed was his decision to give in to the crushing pressures of fame and change his complexion, pointing out the pressures of becoming another person.
It's not as intricate as becoming somebody else.
For Aaliyah, growing up as a young black woman in the entertainment industry was already a battle. She constantly faced comments about her skin, her hair, her body, and her identity. She was determined to stand firm, never allowing others to dictate how she should look or how she should define her beauty. In her eyes, Michael Jackson, someone with unmatched influence, had the power to resist those same pressures. Instead, she felt that he had surrendered to them, and that hurt her deeply. In several private conversations, according to those close to her, Aaliyah expressed that Jackson's transformation sent the wrong message, especially to young black artists. Her anger wasn't tied in judgment of Jackson as a person, but in the disappointment of seeing one of the most powerful artists in history, a man who had once embraced his natural black features, slowly alter himself into someone unrecognizable. This frustration grew stronger in the late 1990s when Aaliyah herself was under intense scrutiny. As her music career soared and she transitioned into acting, those close to Aaliyah said she often compared the double standards she faced with the choices Jackson made. She would mention how she didn't blame him entirely. After all, the industry could be cruel, even dehumanizing. But what she couldn't forgive was the fact that he had the influence to resist and didn't use it. She saw it as a missed opportunity for him to uplift black culture and stand proudly in it. For her, it was enough reason to hate Jackson. Let's know your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Like and share.